talk basketball first because the new AP poll comes out, and I think the only reason why I think it is fair to talk about it is because it's a huge impact, I believe, on the seeding. Now, I think they want to make sure they don't get a clean sweep of SEC in the top four. Maybe that what it could be. Alabama's falling down a little bit, but look, we got a big matchup coming up against Alabama. We need all the room we can get, and we talked about this when you talk about it in football terms. It's going to be really important where you start next year, right? Because the higher you start up, the more leverage you kind of carry going into the end of the year, like how they kind of move you up and down. So you don't want to be sitting on that back line. A one seed's important. We all know these things. So right now we got bumped from Duke after winning. Mind you, we were tied with them for 3, then we were 2, and then we beat LSU on the road by double digits. Rough first half, rightfully so. We still have guys out, but then we fall back playing it not arguably, and it's in fact the toughest conference. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
For sure. Yeah, no, it don't make any sense at all. But they gotta make room for everybody else. They know what we gonna do. I'm not worried. We do want to go in with that number 1 seed. I believe we'll still get that. With the rest of our schedule beating up on the rest of these guys, I believe we take care of business with Alabama and everything. As long as we keep taking care of our business, everything's gonna be fine. I caution people about the last game because we ride on that high, blowing people out by 20. But coach is going to change up the lineup a little bit, try to give guys some rest, try to get some other guys worked in to put us in form for when we go make this run during the tournament. So, of course, they had the last spread of 11.5 when we've been beating people by 20. We go down first half, we down by 7. Then we still come back and go back and still cover the spread. You know what I mean? So, as long as we take care of our business, we'll be fine. I believe those guys will do that. We got so much depth. We can rotate guys around and still take care of business, which is what I like.
We talked about it on Saturday after the game because if you could look at that, the box score, who was effective that game isn't what you normally see. The backcourt wasn't as, it was still good. Let's not get it twisted, but not what they usually are, which was fine. Like you said, you're kind of moving things around, trying new things. Condon's coming back now, which is great. He's been out. Obviously, that's a huge component. Like think our big guy, the heart and soul of that not really, we know what I'm talking about. That's our orbital piece. We function around. So the big man, the squad's back with everybody. So I'm excited that we're getting all these guys back at the right time right here. I want to see how we close this at the end of the year. I think that's going to be important, especially again. You don't want to flirt with it and get down to that Alabama. Now Alabama, I think they dropped to like 5 or 6, but I did see where they dropped today. I think CBS the number 1 seeds. Michigan State coming in at a number 2 seed, but Florida still was sitting at number 1. It was Auburn, Duke, Florida, and Alabama. And to think that 4 SEC teams are holding a number 1 seed, that's nuts.
Now, to your point with the big man, I'm just glad that he's back. In last game, we're working on back end. We want to play around him because we got shooters. So we get him going, get him back into the form that he was in before the injury and all that stuff. Man, Florida's scary, kid.
Really scary. And I'm really excited about this team. And I think Paul Fogbaum had 2 takes today. This take I actually kind of... This show is, of course, brought to you by BetUS. And right now, when you use the code YouTube150 at BetUS.com, you get 150% back on your first deposit, then 125 on your next 2. And with the football playoffs, college football championships and playoffs happening, and then March Madness right around the corner, there is not a better time right now than to sign up for BetUS.com and use that code to maximize your return. Check it out, BetUS.com. Use the code YouTube150. Now back to the show. Get after it. Agree with SEC basketball outside of Kentucky over the last couple of years hasn't really done well, and I think that SEC basketball in the last 3 years, I will say, has definitely ramped up to where they've become the more prominent team or conference throughout the regular season. But then come March Madness time, we just lose. We lose like shambles. Like it comes to Kansas, UConn, Houston, and then like a North Carolina or like a Miami, like a one-off team, right? That we haven't done well. We haven't showed off well in the tournament, and now. This year, more than ever, the expectation is through the roof. Like you should be, based on this, 3 out of 4 in the Final Four.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, expectations are very high, kid. I think outside of when Zion was at what was it, Duke and all that stuff. You know, ACC was running it. I'm glad to see the SEC taking control. You know, we got the dollars, so you know, we should be up in the front, and to see that happening, like you said, 4 schools, man, that's big. And then
To
you
be
got to
fair,
face those guys all throughout the year, so that should give us a lot of confidence for the tournament.
you know, when you think about it, maybe I'm a little off here, but the ACC, I feel like we saw the ACC has always been good, but it's honestly always just been Duke and North Carolina that really have been the
Yeah,
face.
for sure. Yeah,
And look, they dominated, so it's not. I'm not hating on it. Like some will argue that Alabama carry the SEC, whatever. But they've dominated. I would argue the Big 12 and Big East and some of those other conferences have kind of almost been a little more impactful as a whole, as an entire group. I don't think
carrying it.
I can't
Yeah.
think of a last time I've seen a conference this heavily in a tournament. I mean, we're gonna get probably what 7, 8, maybe more. I mean, we got 3 of the
Yeah.
top 4, right? So I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe more than that, maybe 10. That could be a little stretch there, but that's crazy. I mean, it's 10
Yeah.
out of 64, but that's a good amount. That is a good amount.
SEC still running it. Let's go, baby.
And going to be top seeds too, not just kind of limp on in 7 and well, probably 7 seeds, but not like you're 10 and above. They're pretty solid seeds. So yeah, they've got to have a showing. They know we can't have any of these guys lose. I feel like Arkansas,
No,
Mizzou, they're always an 8 and 9 seed, and they kind of get beat up by like a random ACC. They got to win those games. And it's funny. My buddy came up to me. He's an FSU fan, but he's not a buddy. I shouldn't have said that.
I said we still got buddy friends that are FSU fans. Like,
he comes up. He goes, look, man, I think I got Florida going all the way. He goes, you got Florida going all the way in your bracket? I go, when I do these brackets, you always want to pick your team to go all the way, but it's tough because you want to be right too. I was like, if there's a year that you go all the way with your team and you feel confident, I was like, I would be dumb not to pick them. Like, this is the first time, and I can't remember how long, that I'm going to pick Florida to win it all. I mean, right? I mean, I'd be dumb not to, and actually be like, yeah, this is like, we're not just
legit.
picking an 8 seed to like figure this thing out for like the fandom. Like, no, it's we're not even going to think about it. When we do our show, we do the whole pick 'em. Nobody has a say in that. I am just going to click them all the way through, and then we'll do the other 3 conferences. Like, that's
for sure.
There's no conversation anymore. So that to me excites me. I feel like that's going to be the first time in a long time that I have that much confidence. And you feel like, okay, again, when all the brackets are done, we'll do them. Everyone gets invited. There's going to be a lot of Gator heads, I believe.
For sure.
There usually is, and it's kind of funny, but there's going to be a lot. I think you could say 90% of them. You'll have the few that'll pluck some other guys in there, but it's going to be cool to see how everyone picks it this year. I'm excited.
Yeah, nah, definitely. I don't think it'll be, if you're a Gator fan and you don't pick them to go all the way through this year, given the team, how they're playing, how they're being coached, then you might not be a Gator
Dave's
fan.
not. Dave's not picking.